Don't wait till the last minute. Don't worry our businesses or our workers by contributing unnecessarily to global uncertainty. Get it done and keep the United States of America the anchor of global strength that we are and always should be. Now, that's a process of national recovery that from coast to coast we've been going through. But there's been a specific process of recovery that is perhaps unique in my lifetime, right here in the state of Louisiana, right here in New Orleans. Well, not long ago, our gathering here in the Lower Nine probably would have seemed unlikely. As I was flying here today with a homegirl from Louisiana, Donna Brazil, she saved all the magazines, and she was whipping them out, and one of them was a picture of the Lower Ninth right after the storm had happened. And the notion that there'd be anything left seemed unimaginable at the time. Today, this new community center stands as a symbol of the extraordinary resilience of this city, the extraordinary resilience of its people, the extraordinary resilience of the entire Gulf Coast and of the United States of America. You are an example of what is possible when, in the face of tragedy and in the face of hardship, good people come together to lend a hand. And brick by brick, block by block, neighborhood by neighborhood, you build a better future. And that, more than any other reason, is why I've come back here today. Plus, Mitch Landrieu asked me to. It's been 10 years since Katrina hit. Devastating communities in Louisiana and Mississippi, across the Gulf Coast. In the days following its landfall, more than 1,800 of our fellow citizens, men, women, and children, lost their lives. Some folks in this room may have lost a loved one in that storm. Thousands of people saw their homes destroyed, livelihoods wiped out, hopes and dreams shattered. Many scattered in an exodus to cities across the country, and too many still haven't returned. Those who stayed and lived through that epic struggle still feel the trauma sometimes of what happened. As one woman from Gentilly recently wrote me, a deep part of the whole story is the grief. So there's grief then, and there's still some grief in our hearts. Here in New Orleans, a city that embodies a celebration of life, suddenly seemed devoid of life. A place once defined by color and sound, the second line down the street, the crawfish boils in backyards, the music always in the air, suddenly was dark and silent. And the world watched in horror. We saw those rising waters drown the iconic streets of New Orleans. Families stranded on rooftops, bodies in the streets, children crying, crowded in the Superdome. An American city dark and underwater. And this was something that was supposed to never happen here. Maybe someplace else, but not here, not in America. And we came to realize that what started out as a natural disaster became a man-made disaster, a failure of government to look out for its own citizens. And the storm laid bare a deeper tragedy that had been brewing for decades, because we came to understand that New Orleans, like so many cities and communities across the country, had for too long been plagued by structural inequalities that left too many people, especially poor people, especially people of color, without good jobs or affordable health care or decent housing. Too many kids grew up surrounded by violent crime, cycling through substandard schools where few had a shot to break out of poverty. And so, like a body weakened already, undernourished already, when the storm hit, there was no resources to fall back on. Shortly after the storm, I visited with folks not here because we couldn't distract local recovery efforts. Instead, I visited folks in a shelter in Houston, many who'd been displaced. And one woman told me, we had nothing before the hurricane, and now we have less than nothing. We had nothing before the hurricane, now we had less than nothing. And we acknowledge this loss and this pain, not to dwell on the past, not to wallow in grief. We do it to fortify our commitment and to bolster our hope, to understand what it is that we've learned and how far we've come. Because this is a city that slowly, unmistakably, together, is moving forward. Because the project of rebuilding here wasn't just to restore the city as it had been, it was to build a city as it should be. A city where everyone, no matter what they look like, how much money they got, where they come from, where they're born, has a chance to make it. And I'm here to say that on that larger project of a better, stronger, more just New Orleans, the progress that you have made is remarkable. The progress you've made is remarkable. That's not to say things are perfect. Mitch should be the first one to say that. We know that African Americans and folks in hard-hit parishes like Plaquemine and St. Bernard are less likely to feel like they've recovered. Certainly we know violence still scars the lives of too many youth in this city. As hard as rebuilding levees are, as hard as I agree with that, but I'll get to that. Thank you, ma'am. As hard as rebuilding levees is, as hard as rebuilding housing is, real change, real lasting structural change, that's even harder. And it takes courage to experiment with new ideas and change the old ways of doing things. That's hard. Getting it right and making sure that everybody is included and everybody has a fair shot at success, that takes time. That's not unique to New Orleans. We got those challenges all across the country. But I'm here to say, I'm here to hold up a mirror and say, because of you, the people of New Orleans working together, this city is moving in the right direction. And I have never been more confident that together we will get to where we need to go. You inspire me. Your efforts inspire me, and no matter how hard it's been and how hard and how long the road ahead might seem, you're working and building and striving for a better tomorrow. I see evidence of it all across this city. And by the way, along the way, the people of New Orleans didn't just inspire me, you inspired all of America. Folks have been watching what's happened here. And they've seen a reflection of the very best of the American spirit. As president, I've been proud to be your partner. Across the board, I've made the recovery and rebuilding of the Gulf Coast a priority. I made promises when I was a senator that I'd help, and I've kept those promises. We're cutting red tape to help you build back even stronger. We're taking the lessons we've learned here, we've applied them across the country, including places like New York and New Jersey after Hurricane Sandy. If Katrina was initially an example of what happens when government fails, the recovery has been an example of what's possible when government works together. State, local, community, everybody working together as true partners. Together, we've delivered resources to help Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida rebuild schools and hospitals, roads, police and fire stations, restore historic buildings and museums. And we're building smarter, doing everything from elevating homes to retrofitting buildings to improving drainage so that our communities are better prepared for the next storm. Working together, we've transformed education in this city. Before the storm, New Orleans public schools were largely broken, leaving generations of low-income kids without a decent education. Today, thanks to parents and educators, school leaders, nonprofits, we're seeing real gains in achievement with new schools, more resources to retain and develop and support great teachers and principals. We have data that shows before the storm, the high school graduation rate was 54%. Today, it's up to 73%. Before the storm, college enrollment was 37%. Today, it's almost 60%. We still have a long way to go, but that is real progress. New Orleans is coming back better and stronger. Working together, we're providing housing assistance to more families today than before the storm, with new apartments and housing vouchers. And we will keep working until everybody who wants to come home can come home. Together, we're building a New Orleans that is as entrepreneurial as any place in the country, with a focus on expanding job opportunities and making sure that more people benefit from a growing economy here. We're creating jobs to rebuild the city's transportation infrastructure, expanding training programs for industries like high-tech manufacturing, but also water management, because we've been building some good water management around here, and we want to make sure everybody has access to those good, well-paying jobs. Small businesses like Michelle's are growing. It's small businesses like hers that are helping to fuel 65 straight months of private sector job growth in America. That's the longest streak in American history. Together, we're doing more to make sure that everyone in this city has access to great health care. More folks have access to primary care at neighborhood clinics so that they can get the preventive care that they need. We're building a brand new VA medical center downtown alongside a thriving biosciences corridor that's attracting new jobs and investment. We are working to make sure that we have additional mental health facilities across the city and across the country. And more people have access to quality, affordable health care. Some of the more than 16 million Americans who've gained health insurance over the past few years. All of this progress is the result of the commitment and drive of the people of this region. I saw that spirit today. Mitch and I started walking around a little bit. Such a nice day outside. And we went to Faubourg Lafitte. We were in Tremé, and we saw returning residents living in brand new homes, mixed income, new homes near schools and clinics and parks, child care centers, more opportunities for working families. We saw that spirit today at Willie Mae's Scotch House. After Katrina had destroyed that legendary restaurant, some of the best chefs from the country decided America could not afford to lose such an important place, so they came down here to help. Helped rebuild, and I just sampled some of her fried chicken. It was really good. Although I did get a grease spot on my suit. But that's okay. If you come to New Orleans and you don't have a grease spot somewhere, then you didn't enjoy the city. Just glad I didn't get it on my tie. We all just heard that spirit of New Orleans and the remarkable young people from Roots of Music. When the storm washed away a lot of middle school music programs, Roots of Music helped fill that gap. And today it's building the next generation of musical talent. The next Irma Thomas, or the next Trombone Shorty, or the next Dr. John. There's a Marcellus kid in here somewhere. How you doing? And I saw it in the wonderful young men I met earlier, who are part of NOLA for Life, which is focused on reducing the number of murders in the city of New Orleans. There's a program that works with the White House's My Brother's Keepers initiative to make sure that all young people, and particularly our boys and young men of color who so disproportionately are impacted by crime and violence, had the opportunity to fulfill their full potential. In fact, after the storm, this city became a laboratory for urban innovation across the board. And we've been tackling with you as a partner all sorts of major challenges, fighting poverty, supporting our homeless veterans, and as a result, New Orleans has become a model for the nation as the first city, the first major city to end veterans' homelessness, which is a remarkable achievement. You're also becoming a model for the nation when it comes to disaster response and resilience. We learned lessons from Katrina. So the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers developed stricter standards, more advanced techniques for levees. Here in Louisiana, we've built a $14 billion system of improved levees and pump stations and gates, a system that stood the test of Hurricane Isaac. We've revamped FEMA, and I just have to say, by the way, there's a man named Craig Fugate who runs FEMA and has been doing extraordinary work, and his team all across the country every time there's a disaster. I love me some Craig Fugate. Although it's a little disturbing, you know, he gets excited when there are disasters because he gets restless if everything's just quiet. But under his leadership, we've revamped FEMA into a stronger, more efficient agency. In fact, the whole federal government has gotten smarter at preventing and recovering from disasters and serving as a better partner to local and state governments. And as I'll talk about next week, when I visit Alaska, making our communities more resilient is going to be increasingly important because we're going to see more extreme weather events as the result of climate change. Deeper droughts, deadlier wildfires, stronger storms. That's why in addition to things like new and better levees, we've also been investing in restoring wetlands and other natural systems that are just as critical for storm protection. So we've made a lot of progress over the past 10 years. You've made a lot of progress. That gives us hope. But it doesn't allow for complacency. It doesn't mean we can rest. Our work here won't be done when almost 40% of children still live in poverty in this city. That's not a finished job. That's not a full recovery. Our work won't be done when a typical black household earns half the income of white households in this city. The work's not done yet. Our work's not done when there's still too many people who have yet to find good, affordable housing. And too many people, especially African American men, who can't find a job. Not when there's still too many people who haven't been able to come back home. Folks who, around the country, every day live the words sung by Louis Armstrong, "Do you know what it means to miss New Orleans?" But the thing is, the people of New Orleans, there's something in you guys that is just irrepressible. You guys have a way of making a way out of no way. You know the sun comes out after every storm. You've got hope. Especially your young people reflect hope. Young people like Victor York Carter. Where's Victor? Victor York Carter. Stand up, Victor. I was just talking to Victor. I had some lunch with him. These fine young men that I just met with. Stand up, everybody. See, these are the guys who I eat chicken with. Really impressive. Have overcome more than their fair share of challenges, but are still focused on the future. Yes or no? I don't want you to start getting embarrassed. So I'll just give you one example. Victor grew up in the 8th Ward, gifted arts student, loved math. He was 13 when Katrina hit, and he remembers waking up to what looked like something out of a disaster movie. He and his family waded across the city, towing his younger brother in a trash can to keep him afloat. They were eventually evacuated to Texas. 6 months later, they returned, and the city was almost unrecognizable. Victor saw his peers struggling to cope, many of them still traumatized, their lives still disordered. So he joined an organization called Rethink to help young people get more involved in rebuilding New Orleans. And recently he finished a coding boot camp at Operation Spark. Today he's studying to earn a high-tech job, wants to introduce more young people to science and technology and civics so that they have the tools to change the world. And so Victor and these young men that I just met with, they've overcome extraordinary odds. They've lived through more than most of us will ever have to endure. They've made some mistakes along the way. But for all that they've been through, they have been just as determined to improve their own lives, to take responsibility for themselves, but also to try to see if they can help others along the way. So, when I talk to young men like that, that gives me hope. It's still hard. I told them they can't get down on themselves. Tough stuff will happen along the way. But if they've come this far, they can keep on going. And Americans like you, the people of New Orleans, young men like this, you're what recovery has been all about. You're why I'm confident that we can recover from crisis and start moving forward. You've helped this country recover from a crisis and help it move forward. You're the reason 13 million new jobs have been created. You're the reason the unemployment rate fell from 10% to 5.3%. You're the reason that layoffs are near an all-time low. You're the reason the uninsured rate is at an all-time low, and the high school graduation rate's at an all-time high, and the deficit's been cut by 2/3, and 2 wars are over. And nearly 180,000 American troops who were serving in Iraq and Afghanistan have now gone down to 15,000. And a clean energy revolution is helping to save this planet. You're the reason why justice is expanded, and now we're focused on making sure that everybody's treated fairly under the law, and why people have the freedom to marry whoever they love from sea to shining sea. You know, I tell you, we're moving into the next presidential cycle, the next political season. And you will hear a lot of people telling you everything that's wrong with America. And that's okay. That's a proper part of our democracy. One of the things about America is we're never satisfied. We keep pushing forward. We keep asking questions. We keep challenging our government. We keep challenging our leaders. We keep looking for the next set of challenges to tackle. We find what's wrong because we have confidence that we can fix it. But it's important that we remember what's right and what's good and what's hopeful about this country. It's worth remembering that for all the tragedy, for all the images of Katrina in those first few days, in those first few months, look at what's happened here. It's worth remembering the thousands of Americans like Michelle and Victor and Ms. Willie Mae and the folks who rallied around her, Americans all across this country who, when they saw neighbors and friends or strangers in need, came to help. And people who today still spend their time every day helping others, rolling up their sleeves, doing the hard work of changing this country without the need for credit or the need for glory. Don't get their name in the papers. Don't see their day in the sun. Do it because it's right. These Americans live the basic values that define this country. A value that we've been reminded of in these past 10 years as we've come back from a crisis that changed this city and an economic crisis that spread throughout the nation. The basic notion that I am my brother's keeper and I am my sister's keeper, and that we look out for each other, and that we're all in this together. That's the story of New Orleans, but that's also the story of America. A city that for almost 300 years has been the gateway to America's soul. Where the jazz makes you cry, the funerals make you dance. The bayou makes you believe all kinds of things. A place that has always brought together people of all races and religions and languages. And everybody adds their culture and their flavor into this city's gumbo. You remind our nation that for all of our differences, and the answer is we're all in the same boat. We all share a similar destiny. If we stay focused on that common purpose, if we remember our responsibility to ourselves, but also our responsibilities and obligations to one another, we will not just rebuild this city, we will rebuild this country. We will make sure not just these young men, but every child in America has a structure and support and love and the kind of nurturing that they need to succeed. We'll leave behind a city and a nation that's worthy of generations to come. That's what you've gotten started. Now we've got to finish the job. Thank you. God bless you. God bless America. Thank you.
All right, guys, that is a wrap on President Obama's speech in New Orleans, commemorating the 10th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina, absolutely devastating hurricane to the city of New Orleans and the surrounding areas. Speaking of New Orleans, right now you're looking at President Obama just shaking some hands after giving that speech, but we have similar footage of President Obama from earlier today. This is President Obama going door to door, walking around New Orleans, visiting residents in the city. So this is video earlier. This is what he was doing earlier in his day in Louisiana. Obviously, one thing Obama does while he's in New Orleans is get food, because that city is definitely known for its food, its southern food, that Creole, Cajun influence, spicy food, fried food. Don't go to New Orleans when you're on a diet is basically what I'm saying. All right, guys, given it is the 10th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina, I'm going to play a couple of stories sent to us from Fox National about Hurricane Katrina. This first one comes from Joel Waldman, one of our Fox News contributors.
Years and $100 billion in damages later, the city of New Orleans is making a comeback, but the progress is slow.
Trying to get employees back so we could open. That was a big problem. We had a lot of problems.
From spoiled food to damage caused by water and wind, the problems faced by Mother's Restaurant in 2005 seemed insurmountable. But the owners knew if they're going to reopen, it had to be with the help of their employees.
I thank God for him, because if it wouldn't have been for Jerry, we wouldn't have no place to stay.
Jerry Amato packed 9 FEMA trailers into the small parking lot so his workers who lost homes would have a place to stay while they rebuilt their lives and livelihoods.
The pictures of our children and the picture of my mother, I'll never get that back. We lost a lot of things that we'll never be able to replace.
Pearlie King did not work at Mother's when Katrina struck, but joined the 100-person staff when she saw how well the business took care of her sister Patricia. The pair lost everything that day, and even a decade later, the thoughts of Katrina continue to haunt them both.
You thought she was in a horror movie or something, but it wasn't no movie, because this is surreal. It was real.
President Obama meeting with survivors of Katrina today. Meanwhile, there'll be other events commemorating the storm all weekend long. In New Orleans, Joel Waldman, Fox News.
All right, guys, you didn't see it because you were watching that, but I was off camera watching it with you guys, and I freaked out and got really excited. I know it sounds silly, but the restaurant they were at, Mother's, is it's sort of this known restaurant. It's very hole in the wall for breakfast, and I've been there, but I think what's weird is that one of the people they mentioned in the video was the woman's sister Patricia that also works there, and Patricia and I bonded when we were in Mother's, so much so that she wanted to become Facebook friends with me, and we exchanged emails, and this is after staying up all night, like till 8 in the morning, and so I just got really excited to see Patricia randomly on our Fox News story. So just thought I'd share that New Orleans tidbit with you guys. We have one more story related to Hurricane Katrina. This one comes from Wisconsin, I believe. Volunteers, I think, that left from Wisconsin to help in the wake of Hurricane Katrina 10 years ago apparently revisited, and this is a story about that.
10 years after Hurricane Katrina tore through the Gulf Coast, the area stands as proof of the power of the human spirit to rebuild in the wake of destruction.
For me personally, I just couldn't stand watching it anymore. You know, I watched it and I watched it and I watched it, and, you know, it was on the news and every minute.
From those small beginnings sprang a major relief effort.
We took a semi, we took 16 people, and we brought food, clothes, water, all kinds of things.
The Brookfield-based Elmbrook Church would send 26 teams to help clean up and rebuild over a span of 5 years.
It was a powerful lesson in being the church, whether we were handing out toilet paper, cooking soup, or, you know, dragging wet stuff out to the street. It just felt like the right thing to do.
During that time, the Elmbrook crews developed a close partnership with a small local church that was spearheading some of the disaster relief efforts.
I think in the eyes of Biloxi, they're a huge church because they've done all this, you know, for their own community.
The bond between the two churches remains strong. This weekend, a few of Elmbrook's original volunteers are now headed back to help celebrate the area's recovery.
I can't wait to get on that plane because when we get off the plane, we're going to see our dear friends again.
Lee is now the disaster relief coordinator at Elmbrook. She says it was her experiences in the wake of Hurricane Katrina that got her started on that path in the first place. Reporting in the newsroom, Richie Bellion, Fox 6 News.
Okay, so that wraps up our Hurricane Katrina block of Fox 10 News Now this afternoon. I'm going to move on and cover a couple other stories that we have covered extensively here on News Now over the last couple days. One being the New Hampshire prep school rape trial. You guys know about the story. I brought it to you yesterday as well. This 19-year-old kid on the stand faces rape charges. We heard from him yesterday, and things wrapped up today. They had closing arguments. Now the jury is deliberating. This is a case where the alleged victim claims that this individual forced himself upon her as part of a senior salute in which seniors at this prep school try to sleep with as many underclassmen as possible, apparently. That's what I hear. So let's listen to a couple of these clips. First, I have closing arguments.
He chose that location. He brought a blanket to put on the concrete floor where no one would see them and where no one would hear a 15-year-old girl say no. And then he moved fast, and he moved under the cover of darkness. From months before the senior salute, he knew what he wanted. And this was the night he was going to get it. Whether it was by surprising her, by pulling every trick in the book, and whether or not she agreed to it. This was someone who should have respected when she said no, but instead took advantage of her. This someone was Owen Labrie. This someone saw how vulnerable a 15-year-old freshman was and took advantage of it. This someone was going to get what he wanted and not take no for an answer.
All right, guys, now we're going to hear from the defense and their closing arguments.
Now, it's true that Owen did have a crush on him. But the evidence suggests that she had a crush on him, too. The witnesses who said that Owen and she used to say hi when they would go past, or if they were further away than to be able to just say hi, she would wave at him and he would wave at her. But this is a relationship on campus that was one of friendship. You heard testimony by both of them of kissing, hugging, rolling on the blanket, clothes coming off, and also that bra and underwear never came off the entire night. Owen had said, "You're an angel. You're quite an angel yourself." Owen pays a compliment about something. You're not so bad yourself. There were emails even about birth control, condom. Owen responded to those. He couldn't know I was uncomfortable because I was laughing. Can someone even remotely be put on notice that a person is acting against her consent? when that happens. Quote, I don't think for a fact that he would know that I did not want to do that.
Not even a girl saying no and holding on to her underwear was going to stop him.
Involving the age and lack of mental status of the defendant and the other person are self-explanatory. Third element requires the state to prove the defendant's mental state. Here, that he acted knowingly. This means that the state must prove that the defendant was deliberate, and I will see that the exhibits and a written copy of my instructions come in from Jordan deliberation.
All right, guys, so that trial has now gone to the jury. We will keep you posted as to what the jury decides here on Fox 10 News. Now, the next story I'm going to update you on, tragic story out of Virginia. It's a story we've been covering ever since yesterday morning. Awful, awful, awful. The shooting of a TV reporter and a cameraman live on camera by a former employee of that same station. We actually just missed a press conference. It was a very, very short press conference at Bridgewater Plaza. That is the shopping center, or the plaza rather, where the shooting took place. They had a brief press conference, and I'm going to just pull up this video for you guys now, and we can listen to what was said. It's about a minute and a half or so.
7 years and have operated it. We would first like to express how deeply saddened we are by yesterday's tragic events. Our thoughts and prayers are with the families and friends and colleagues of Allison and Adam. We have been personal friends with Vicki and Tim Gardner for the past 33 years, and we are continuing to support their family in every way possible. We want to thank the local and state law enforcement for their tireless efforts over the past 34 hours, as well as the local restaurants that have graciously provided them with meals and the local businesses that have provided us with valuable services. We also want to thank the media for their respect and patience during this difficult time. Bridgewater Plaza has always been a safe and welcoming place for our Smith Mountain Lake community. We want to reassure our community, visitors, tenants, and employees that we will continue to take all necessary steps to maintain this safe and welcoming environment. Out of respect for the families of the victims, we have made a decision not to reopen Bridgewater Plaza until tomorrow. We ask that you continue to keep Vicki and the families of Allison and Adam in your thoughts and prayers. I'm not going to take any questions. However, the businesses are not going to reopen, as I mentioned, until tomorrow morning, regular business time. You are welcome to go around the plaza and the marina and take pictures and whatever you would like to do. And once again, I just want to thank you. Good evening.
Bring flowers.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we are going to now move on from this press conference. As you know, it was very, very brief. Bridgewater Plaza holding a press conference. There is the memorial in honor of Allison and Adam. Both were killed while doing a live shot for the morning show at that location. We're going to go ahead and watch Jackie Ibanez's story, doing an overview of the shooting that took place. Jackie Ibanez from Fox News.
These are two beautiful, incredible people, just cut down at the beginning of their lives.
And tributes pouring in for the two people shot and killed while on live TV Wednesday morning in Virginia. WDBJ reporter Allison Parker and cameraman Adam Ward were conducting an interview about tourism at a local lake when a former colleague gunned them down.
Adam, best way to describe him, I guess, was a giant teddy bear. He was just this guy that was just the sweetest guy. He was always willing to help you out and do anything for you.
That's the toughest thing for me, that everybody that she touched loved her, and she loved everybody back.
Parker's boyfriend, Chris Hurst, describes the 24-year-old as the most radiant person he ever knew. The couple had just moved in together and were hoping to get married.
This is my memory of her. When we had our 6-month anniversary, she made a scrapbook for me and put in all of the pictures that we spent together for the first 6 months.
As the Roanoke community mourns the victims, we're learning more about the gunman who has been identified as Vester Flanagan, the 41-year-old who used his cell phone to record the killings and posted the video on social media was fired from WDBJ in 2013 after several angry outbursts.
My interactions with him, always thought he had a chip on his shoulder, but never thought he'd do much about it.
The gunman, who left behind a manifesto claiming the violence was in retaliation for the Charleston church shootings, killed himself when troopers caught up with him. Jackie Ibanez, Fox News.
All right, guys, so there is Jackie Ibanez's story. Here is another story related to this as well. This one is called Allison Parker Dance Studio. It's probably her dance studio reacting to the tragic news.
It was devastating. I'm not even sure there are words for how bad.
Felicia Childress didn't just watch Allison Parker on the morning news. She taught her dance for 15 years.
Her friends adored her. She never met a stranger, and this is a devastating and tragic loss for this whole community. We're a big family here, and we're a big dance family, and to lose Allison this tragically is just beyond comprehension right now.
The signs of Allison are still all over the studio. A talent, a smile they'll never forget.
I just hope that some way something good can come out of this. I don't know what it will be, but her legacy will go on because she is a shining star. And I know that she's up there right now in heaven.
Obviously a very emotional time for anyone who knew either Allison or Adam. We're going to go ahead and now play another story from one of our Fox News national reporters giving us the latest information on this tragedy.
A memorial outside the Roanoke TV station honoring the reporter and photographer killed on air by a former co-worker. The WDBJ morning show honoring their two fallen colleagues with a moment of silence.
Please join us now in a moment of silence.
Our thoughts and prayers at this time are with the victims' families and with WDBJ television station family.
Investigators digging through evidence as they try to understand why it happened. Meanwhile, support for the WDBJ family stretching from far beyond the Roanoke area.
I certainly have the deepest admiration for not only their composure, but their strength and their devotion and their deep affection for Adam and Allison.
Allison's boyfriend and WDBJ anchor Chris Durst says she always wanted to hear people tell their stories, so he feels it's time he tells hers. And part of her story, he says, is to say the news will go on.
We know what it's like to lose people who are intimately close to us, and we know that the news must go on. That's what Allison would want.
A family member says the third shooting victim, Vicki Gardner, has been upgraded to good condition. In Moneta, Virginia, Peter Ducey, Fox News.
Thank you, Peter Ducey, for that report, and it's great to hear that the third victim, the one that was injured, Vicki Gardner, is now in good condition. Very, very grateful that at least one person did survive this tragic shooting. One of the people we haven't heard from yet in regards to this shooting is actually someone we just heard from on another topic. I'm talking about President Obama. This is what he had to say about yesterday's shooting.
Well, my heart goes out to the families who've been affected. As you point out, sadly, gun violence is in the environment in this country every single day. And some of this violence can't be prevented, but a whole lot of it can if we are doing a better job of making sure that people who have problems, people who shouldn't have guns, don't have them. And I continue to hope that we see the kind of grassroots movement building for common sense gun safety laws. But obviously right now, our main concern is making sure that we're helping local authorities to apprehend the suspect, make sure that those families are getting the comfort that they need. It's a terrible tragedy, and as you point out, it happens all too often in this country.
So one of the things President Obama addressed right there was the issue of gun control, gun safety, things like that. Various politicians chiming in on this exact same topic. In fact, let's listen to what Chris Christie, another one of our many presidential candidates, and the governor of New Jersey, has to say in regards to yesterday's shooting and the topic of gun control.
When I was in the Justice Department as U.S. Attorney for 7 years, we enforced gun laws. Felons in possession of guns who were committing crimes, we put more of those folks in jail than in previous years. But this administration is not doing it, and yet the call is for more laws. I don't think we need a bigger government, more laws. I think we need the government to actually do their job. It's both a mental health issue and a lawlessness issue. I mean, the fact is that we're setting a message, this president's setting a message that you only enforce the laws that you like or that you agree with. And we see this with sanctuary cities. Sure. Says to cities, you don't have to enforce the immigration law if you don't like it. He says it on marijuana. If you live in Colorado or Washington, you don't like the marijuana laws, you don't have to have to abide by them. And now on guns, his immediate reaction is twofold, right? We just heard it. The first one is, that we need more laws. I don't agree with that. I think we need to actually enforce the ones we have in the books now. And the second thing he says is that this is worse than terrorism. I don't know that anybody in America believes that they feel more a threat by something like this than they feel a threat by ISIS or by other terrorist groups around the world.
All right, so now you heard Chris Christie's take on the whole situation. Let's now move on to a clip from the governor of Virginia speaking out on the tragedy.
Did you figure out what Peyton Place was? I got nothing to do with that. I'll let these guys get in.
No, it's a tough situation, developing situation. Tell us what you can about the Roanoke shooting, your reaction, and what's happening.
I mean, what a tragedy to have a young woman, 24 years old, a cameraman, 27 years old, doing their job, giving a report, and to have this individual come up and obviously take their lives is tragic. I've said consistently there are too many guns in people's hands that should not have them. This is a tragedy for Virginia. It's a tragedy for their families, and the Franklin County Sheriff's Department is on the lead right now, and I assume that very soon we'll have an arrest of the suspect.
Can you tell us anything about the suspect himself at all at this moment?
All we know is word is he may have been a disgruntled employee, but that's all we know at this point.
Okay. Again, this interview was done yesterday before we identified the suspect.
I still find it unimaginable that the poor innocent victims' lives could be taken out doing their job, standing talking about economic development and bringing folks to Smith Mountain Lake, and this tragedy occurred. It just breaks your heart when you think of the families and so many friends and co-workers who were impacted by what happened today. Well, obviously we know that the suspect is armed, and you want to do this in a peaceful manner so that nobody else is hurt or involved in the situation, and we have the best law enforcement, and they're going to do it and bring the suspect into custody in a peaceful way and protect the lives of other individuals in the Commonwealth of Virginia. So I'm trying to bring common sense ideas. As I say, I'm a gun owner, I'm a hunter, I go through background checks. It takes 5 minutes, hand your license over and run the data. There are individuals in this country who should not be allowed to own a firearm. And it's just, to me, common sense, and it's just tragic that this kind of legislation cannot be passed and signed into law.
All right, so that was the governor of Virginia. And now, in case you missed it the first time around, Donald Trump addressing yesterday's shooting.
I believe very strongly in the Second Amendment. We have people with mental disabilities, mental problems. It's too bad somebody can't figure that out. But we have a serious mental problem. And I'll tell you what, we better start figuring it out fast. And what happened in Virginia is absolutely terrible. So sad to see these magnificent two people, and the woman that was hurt, but these magnificent two people, so sad. So something has to happen. At the same time, it's not about the guns, it's about mental instability. You have people with great mental instability. And it's a shame because if you look at this man that did this horrible act, people knew that he was mentally unstable for years. And it's a shame that he couldn't have been in a hospital or something. Well, if you look at Jeb Bush, where he said he wouldn't fund women's health care issues, okay, and women's health issues, I thought that was a terrible thing for him to say. And nobody will take care of women. I cherish women, and I say it all the time. I cherish women.
All right, so that was Donald Trump's take on yesterday's shooting as well. Lots of differing takes on the situation in terms of gun control, whether it's really about gun control, whether it's about mental illness and preventing those mentally ill from getting guns. Everyone has a different opinion depending on your political beliefs. Here's one more clip. This will be interesting because one of the things Donald Trump mentioned was, you know, his mental illness, mental issues, and here is, I believe, an interview with a psychiatrist.
These things have happened in the past, but it's rare. Certainly a great deal of anger for many different things. So we don't know what his personal thoughts were. We don't know what his personal demons were.
It's always after the fact. Everybody can say, well, you missed this, you missed that. And that's not the point of it. The point is, how do we learn from this tragic loss of life? And what can be done in the future by organizations to come together to identify these challenges earlier on and put plans in place.
Okay, that clip didn't really tell us anything we didn't already know, but it was interesting that, that would make sense that different news stations around the country would go to psychiatrists, psychologists, and try to understand the mindset of someone who could do such a thing. So I get why they did it. I just felt like the sound bites they actually sent us didn't really say anything we didn't already know. So, personal opinion on that. Real quick, we're getting these images. I don't know what this is exactly. They just came in right now. What is this? I don't know. Oh, you know what? They're probably sending us old video from Katrina from 10 years ago. So I think we're looking at old Hurricane Katrina footage. Wow, look at just that devastation that they're sending. Oh my goodness. Again, as you guys know, at the top of the show, we listened as President Obama acknowledged the 10th anniversary of Katrina. But let's listen.
On ground that had been underwater a decade ago, the president said Katrina left devastation not seen before in the United States.
And this was something that was supposed to never happen here. Maybe someplace else, but not here, not in America.
But President Obama says the storm revealed another tragedy that had been brewing for decades.
We came to realize that what started out as a natural disaster became a man-made disaster, a failure of government to look out for its own citizens.
It's taken 10 years and cost $14 billion to help build up the levee system. New Orleans is a city built below sea level, and the levees serve as flood walls. When those walls failed, the Crescent City was swamped. But now New Orleans officials say they are better prepared for a 100-year storm. President Obama's visit is part of what's being called his 11-day climate change tour. Other stops planned for Nevada and Alaska. It's the latest from New Orleans. Casey Stiegel, Fox News.
It looks like we were just getting a story fed into us, so that was pretty cool to just catch that live as they send us that story, that update. He turned that around quickly. You could see that there were already clips of President Obama speaking, and we just saw that live about an hour ago. So I know one of the topics in the chat room currently is gun control because we were talking about the incident that occurred in Virginia yesterday. So I do want to read some of your comments before we continue with our programming. Let's see. Rachel says, the gunman have any reason why he shouldn't have had a weapon, such as prior mental illness or criminal background? Gio saying, I'm not sure, but he definitely had a mental illness. Rachel saying, I'm not trying to justify it, I'm just trying to get a clearer picture. Tess saying, from what I've heard, Rachel, he passed a background check. I do not know if this is factual, though. Rachel then saying, well, why are we crying about gun laws? What about health reform for the mentally ill? Rachel, you are saying exactly what Donald Trump was saying. I don't know if you wanted to be compared, but I think Donald Trump just said that exact same thing. Tess saying, I'm all about ramping up mental health reform. John saying, okay, but who is going to make that call if someone isn't seeking a professional? That's very true, John. Rachel saying, true, a lot of people are afraid to go or even express their issues. That is very, very true. And yeah, that is the situation there. Now, speaking of guns, speaking of gun violence, we're now going to go to a press conference in Ferguson. This is a really sad story. I don't know if you guys heard about it at all, but long story short, a 9-year-old girl in Ferguson was sitting, this is Ferguson, Missouri. You guys know this town, lots of unrest there. 9-year-old girl sitting in her mother's bed, doing her homework when shots were fired into her home. The 9-year-old was struck and killed. Today, a suburban St. Louis man was charged in the death of that 9-year-old girl. Ferguson police held a press conference, and we're going to go there now and share that with you.
Unlawful use of a weapon, shooting at a building, 2 counts. Armed criminal action, 3 counts. Bond was established at $750,000, cash only. With the assistance of the U.S. Marshals Service's Chief Anderson stated, subject was apprehended yesterday in the area of St. Louis City, and he did confess to the crime.
Why did he do it?
It's still an ongoing investigation. I can't discuss any details on the investigation. It's D-E, capital C-A-R-L-I.
Could you give us more details on the apprehension?
The only thing I'm going to say is, with the assistance of the Marshal Service, he was locked up down in the St. Louis City area.
We understand. We have Mayor remarks.
Okay.
We have remarks from the mayor for
So we'll take some more questions in just a second. I do just want to take this opportunity to thank Chief Anderson for his leadership here in our department and with this investigation. The leadership that he has shown has truly helped us in our change in policy towards a more community-oriented policing model. We do thank Chief Anderson for his work. I also, of course, want to thank Captain Dan DeCarli, who's the commander of our Field Operations and Investigation Division, who I should also remark is also the commander of the St. Louis Regional Major Case Squad. He's leading up this wonderful and very professional detective bureau. I also want to thank our police department and our individual officers who responded to the family and to the community that day. They acted in a very professional and a very compassionate manner. I know that no matter what we've done here today or since, that we can never replace Ms. Bolden, but the actions, I think, of our officers
Looks like there were technical difficulties getting this feed in from Ferguson. Let me see if I...
And we'll continue to work
There we
in the
go.
future. And I hope that this model and this interaction between our residents and between the law enforcement community will help continue to build a stronger and safer community in the future. And with that, I will open it up to answer any questions for either the chief, commander, or myself.
Is it true that he was apprehended in a hospital?
Commander.
He was apprehended on the area outside of a hospital, yes, sir.
Which hospital? Why was he there?
I don't want to go into that right now because of the ongoing investigation.
Chief, you mentioned a positive interaction with the family throughout this investigation. Why were they not contacted today when an arrest was made?
They were contacted today. The information with respect to them being contacted
got to them a little bit faster than we were able to provide all the charges. We were looking at some of the additional charges that we wanted to make sure we firmed up, but someone had contacted them before we had all the charges firmed up. So we didn't want to provide them any information that wasn't accurate.
Chief, is there any relation to the suspect? Is there any relation to this person who's apprehended with the family?
I'm sorry.
No, no relation at all.
Was it a case of mistaken identity? Was it a case where they were shooting into a house thinking they were at a different location?
Again, that's still an investigation that we're conducting.
Can you say whether, though, there is any connection between this suspect and anyone that lived or has been living in that house?
Again, we're still on investigation regarding that.
Has anybody claimed for it? Is anybody going to be getting the reward that has been offered for this?
Not at this time, no.
Nobody's eligible for it, or?
The league came through investigative efforts. I'm sorry?
Are there other suspects?
No other suspects.
Were you saying that the suspect was arrested is not related to the family of the victims then?
Yes.
Can you give us any more details on how the shooting happened? Was it from a car? Was it from outside the house?
It was not from a drive-by, no.
Can you specify then?
Not at this time, no.
Can you tell us how many shots were fired inside that house?
There was several shots.
Was the suspect with anyone at the time?
At the time of the incident, he was by himself.
Was Jamel's mother a target?
Still on an investigation. I don't want to divulge anything like that that'll jeopardize the case.
We make assumptions that he accidentally shot this girl, but is that accurate that the shooting of her was accidental?
I would say yes on that.
Is that why it's a second-degree murder charge rather than the first?
Yes.
Can you say how U.S. Marshals helped out with this investigation?
They helped us with the arrest.
You're saying the county police also facilitated?
It was a U.S. Marshal Task Force, so I don't know what numbers are in it.
Can you say at this point whether this was a targeted shooting?
At this time, it's still under investigation.
Did the IRS know Jamela's mother or anyone in the family there? You don't usually just go randomly shooting in the house.
Yeah. Again, I don't want to divulge anything that's going to jeopardize the investigation.
Can you
Is this the same suspect as one for a gun crime out in St. Charles?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Is it the same suspect as one facing charges out in St. Charles County for threatening his girlfriend?
The individual that Mr. Brown is on probation out in St. Charles County for a robbery charge.
Can you talk to us any other details of what led you to this man?
Not this time, no.
Can you say whether or not the publicity surrounding this death and all of the rewards had any role in making his arrest?
The support of the community was very helpful. I'll put it to you that way.
Last question.
Can you talk about
That's going to bring in the image of the little girl so you guys can see her.
demanding an arrest?
This is the little girl right there that was killed.
That it's not always like we see it on TV.
Basically, it is good old-fashioned police work. You get out and talk to the community and you follow up the leads that were provided.
How many hours, manpower hours?
It was over 300-something hours.
Chief, can we just hear from you for a moment? This is obviously a major step, a major moment in your time here as the new interim chief. Can you talk to us about what this last week has been like for you in this investigation?
Well, this last week was really an opportunity to see how professional the organization is. I had an opportunity to see the tenacity that the detectives exemplified on a regular basis and the police officers' compassion. I also had an opportunity to see how the community responded to some of the things that we were trying to engage. The community was great. They were responsive. They were helpful. Everybody worked together. It was a great opportunity to see what we represent here in Ferguson and where we're going as an organization and where our council and city leadership is going. It was just, from that standpoint, it was a good thing. But on the other side, it was really sad. It was very sad that that happened. It was a tragedy. It had an impact on us, and it's certainly something that we don't ever want to see again.
Thank you, everybody.
Responding officers who initially helped in trying to save the life of a young kid, will they be receiving any kind of grief counseling? They seem to be very emotional.
Yes, we've already put in place some measures to assist them, and that's what we do. all the time, but the first thing that we do is their family. I mean, it's police department in the city. The first thing is to surround them as a family, and we've done that. But also we have some resources that we're providing to them through the city. So we care about them, and the community is, I can't tell you how much the community is really, they've been helping them a lot, and we really appreciate that.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Captain.
I just want to confirm what department you're with.
All right, guys, that is a wrap on that press conference. We're going to step away from that. I'm going to go ahead and read you some more information just to give you a summary in case you couldn't hear some of what they said. Basically, they charged Darius Brown. He's 21 years old. He's from suburban St. Louis with second-degree murder in the August 18th killing of Jamila Bolden. She was 9 years old. I showed you guys the picture during that press conference. He also faces 3 counts of armed criminal action and 2 counts of unlawful use of a weapon. Here, we're going to go ahead and pull up his picture. Go ahead and grab this, I think. That is the individual we are talking about. He is jailed on a $750,000 cash bond. In a probable cause statement, Ferguson officer William Ballard said, "He fired through a bedroom window. A witness identified this individual as the shooter, and he did confess." The shooting happened at a small ranch-style home just a few blocks away from where 18-year-old Michael Brown was fatally shot by Darren Wilson last year. And it's just very, very sad. The little girl's mother was struck in the leg, and she is recovering. Jamila's death resonated throughout the St. Louis area, prompting a vigil and calls for an end to violence, especially in the predominantly black areas of the region. She was a 4th grader, and her funeral is Saturday. So very, very sad story there. We're getting live images now of Air Force One. It looks like it will be taking off from New Orleans any minute. Let's go ahead and take a look right now at these live images that we're getting in. It looks like the president has just arrived, and it looks like people are boarding Air Force One, and it should be taking off shortly.
interesting. Just some.
Dude, this tripod's awkward, man. I'm sorry about some of those bumps. Thank you.
Hello guys, we are back. That was Air Force One taking off from New Orleans. Thought I'd show you that. It was pretty cool. I could see a couple of you guys in the chat room really excited to watch that takeoff live, so you're welcome. I want to go ahead and now give you guys a live look at what it looks like outside from our tower cam. I noticed that Ale, also known as Eduardo, was mentioning some of the weather in the chat room. I think he mentioned it at least. Someone mentioned it. I could be completely wrong. But, yeah, I was completely wrong. It was Lana and Tess, I believe, talking about some weather. Either way, this is what it looks like outside right now. Hopefully we'll be joined by Dave Muncy a little bit later on. No guarantees, but here's a look at the clouds. And here is a look at the radar. You can see it developed over the course of the day from not much green to lots of green and spots of yellow and red. Hopefully we'll have Dave Muncy again up here so we can get some real answers a little bit later on. All right, well, we're going to hold on the weather coverage for a little bit. If I notice any crazy activity, I know Chopper is going up, so hopefully we'll be storm chasing in just a little bit here on News Now. But until then, I'm going to play a few other clips. I'm going to start with this clip of, who was it? Mike Huckabee speaking this morning, I believe in Iowa. I want to say it was Iowa. Yep, I got it right. I sometimes confuse Iowa and Ohio, but no, it was Iowa. Mike Huckabee speaking this morning. We're going to go ahead and watch that. It's not too long, and I'll be back with you guys with some more imminent weather coverage. And oh my gosh, look at those clouds. I'm not going to even show you, but we'll have some weather coverage as soon as I can track down Mr. Muncy.
For many reasons, the most likely and obvious reason is because it didn't address the fundamental problem that health care has been presented. I want to make a statement to you that health care is not our big problem in America. We don't have a health care problem. Now let me define that. When I say we don't have a health care problem, if you get sick, does anybody here want to go to Havana, Cuba for treatment?
No.
To Vietnam?
No.
No? Why? You want to come to the best clinics, Mayo, Ochsner, MD Anderson. There are many places across America that have outstanding health care. We've got a great health care system. Problem is it's very expensive. And one of the reasons it's expensive is because the government has created policies that make us buy things that we don't want, don't need, and can't afford. Obamacare was essentially about making everybody buy a product that they may not have needed, wanted, or could afford, so that the money could be paid to make up the difference for people who got more than they wanted, maybe more than they needed, and certainly more than they could afford. Which, by the way, that's pure socialism. That's what socialism is. Take your money and give it to somebody else over here. Here's what we need to do. Focus on cures and prevention. A couple of stats that will shock you. 80 cents out of every dollar we spend on healthcare in America is spent toward chronic disease. In other words, disease that we could treat or manage if we got to it early enough. 80 cents out of every dollar. So when I say that, what I'm saying is we don't have a healthcare crisis, we have a health crisis. Deal with the health crisis and you resolve the health care crisis. Now here's the other stat that'll shock you. 85% of all of your health care expenses lifetime will be spent in your final 18 months of life. Which means that if you live to be 90, for 88 and a half years, you will have spent 15% of your lifetime health care costs in the first 88 and a half years. In the last 18 months, you will spend 85% of your lifetime health care costs, because when we get near the finish line, it gets really expensive. And most of us here have been through the issue with our family members, and the last months of their lives were the most expensive. Devastatingly expensive. So here's what we need to be doing. There are 4 diseases that drive the cost. Cancer, heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's. Those 4 things. I'm going to venture to say, and I believe I can speak with some authority looking around this room, that every single one of us in this room, I don't care how young, how old, in your immediate family, you have been touched by one or more of these afflictions. Either your mother, father, sister, brother, son, daughter, niece, nephew, closest friend has had one or more of those diseases. Cancer, heart disease, diabetes, or Alzheimer's. Cancer costs in this country over $100 billion a year. Heart disease, $313 billion. Diabetes, almost $500 billion a year. Alzheimer's is going to be a $1.1 trillion disease for the year 2050. And that doesn't even touch the human toll that it takes on you, the caregiver. I don't even have to go into that. You know that. What if a president said, as John Kennedy did in 1961, when he said, we're going to send a man to the moon and bring him back. What if a president said, within the decade, we're going to turn science loose and we're going to find a cure for cancer, heart disease, diabetes, and Alzheimer's within the decade. We're going to end the threat of these diseases as we know them now. And if you think that that's a little bold and audacious, I'm going to remind you, I grew up in the 50s. And I can remember when I stood at the courthouse lawn, in the Hempstead County Courthouse in Hope, Arkansas as a kid, and I took my polio vaccine. And I never was threatened with polio, even though kids 2 years older than me wore braces and spent time in an iron lung. Why? Because we found a cure. We gave that cure, and we have saved hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars that we would have been spending taking care of people with polio, and we haven't had to do that over the past 60 years because we eliminated that as a threat to us. What happens to our economy, much less our healthcare system, when we eliminate the biggest and most costly diseases that we currently face? We need to be thinking transformationally, not just temporarily. Rather than tinkering with adding some more money to an impossible healthcare system to fix, we will never catch up with the cost of the diseases, because the more we catch up, the longer we live, but we live with great, great cost of treatment. If we could prevent the disease, we eliminate that extraordinary cost. Now, we're still going to die. I don't want to pretend that, well, you'll live to be 300 years old. My kids think I'm already 300 years old. We're still going to die, but we won't have this extraordinary cost at the finish line, because we will then start dying of natural causes like people did for thousands and thousands of years, where they'd be working in the fields and like a light bulb, one day they work and then the light goes out. That's how we were designed. That's how God made us. We are hardwired for that. We're not hardwired to limp to the finish line. That's how we transform it. Let me take two more questions, and yours is one of them. Yes, sir.
Where do you stand on Common Core?
Common Core. Common Core is a great example of where the federal government took something and completely messed it up. It was supposed to be simple state-controlled standards so that your state, your governor, your legislature would control the standards in Iowa. In Arkansas, the governor and the legislature would control them there. Hopefully it would be high standards because we don't want kids to have a dumbed-down school. We want the highest standards. But it would be done at the school board and state level. Federal government got involved, started adding things to it that were never supposed to be in it. Started getting into the curriculum, not just the standards. Adding data collection, and it has become an absolute disaster. It needs to be put out of our misery. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and just come to the conclusion the federal government has no role in education. It's a state issue. It's a mom and dad issue. And there's nothing in the Constitution that empowers the federal government to dictate educational policy in Iowa, Arkansas, or any other state for that matter. And while we're killing Common Core, let's go ahead and end the misery of the Federal Department of Education at the same time. And be done with it and let you guys...
What would be the first four things that you would do?
The first four things I did when I was elected president? Well, the first one is walk into the Oval Office, get on my knees, and Clay and James, chapter 1, verse 5. And the next three would be dependent upon what's going on that particular day. But it would be a little audacious for me to say, let me tell you exactly. I know a lot of candidates will say, let me tell you on my first day in office, I list 24 things. I said, I don't know how to break this to you, but on your first day in office, you got a parade, you got an inaugural ball, you got a swearing in, there's a few things you have to take care of. And you got to probably help your wife make the bed, because you're going to be living there for the next 4 years at least, maybe 8. Maybe another...
All right, guys. I just stepped away from this. Sorry for that annoying noise, but stepped away from Mike Huckabee's last question because we just have this weather looming. This is Skyfox. These are live images. We'll be weather chasing this afternoon. I'm going to go ahead and put up a lower third. Give me a second while I do that. All right, guys, as soon as I can track Dave Muncy down, he'll be joining me up here so we can talk a little bit more in depth about the weather. I don't have a lot of information right now, unfortunately. I do have these live images, though, coming in from Skyfox. I know that Skyfox is pointed towards the Northwest Valley, rain in the Northwest Valley, which makes sense given that I believe someone in the chat room, that's right, Eduardo Ale, just said, nasty wind in Glendale pushing southeast from the north. Weather update anytime soon? Well, this is it. This is our Skyfox camera pointed towards the northwest portion of the valley. These are live images coming in, courtesy of Skyfox, and we'll continue to bring you live weather coverage here on Fox 10 News Now. By the way, guys, if you are here in Arizona and you are experiencing interesting weather in your area, feel free to post photos or videos on our Facebook page or tweet it to us, because I know our news station is gathering user-submitted photos of weather near them to possibly use in this evening forecast. So feel free to do so if you are in an area that is getting hit by severe weather. Reading comments, things posted on our Facebook page. Paulette saying, wow, it's finally raining in Sun City West. Woo woo. Meanwhile, Jackie has shared this video with us from Buckeye. I'm going to go ahead and pull this up for you guys so you can see Jackie's video from Buckeye. This is video submitted to us from Jackie on her Facebook page. This is Buckeye, McDowell, and Perryville. Wow. Very interesting weather indeed. So I wanted to show you some of our viewer-submitted content as well. Again, if you are somewhere and you see some crazy weather, record it, take a photo, whatever you can do, and send it to us, post it on our Foxwood Phoenix page, and hopefully it'll make the evening newscast tonight. All right, let's go back to those live images courtesy of Skyfox.
Keep an eye on remote 9, that's where it would be, remote 9. It's
Okay.
not there yet, but we are.
All right, guys, I want to show you another user-submitted photo, or rather video. Storm rolling overlooking the Legend at Arrowhead Golf Course. This one's sent in from Mita. Let's go ahead and look at this video sent in from Mita. Storm rolling in overlooking the Legend at Arrowhead Golf Course. All right, again, that was user-submitted, viewer-submitted video from the Legend at Arrowhead Golf Course. We're going back to these Skyfox images. Skyfox in the air pointing towards the Northwest Valley. That's where these images are coming in. going to take you over here now. We're going to continue to bring you this coverage. We have Skyfox in the upper right-hand corner. I'm going to show you some more viewer-submitted weather photos. We have this right here from Anna, a giant dust storm in Goodyear. And then Sandra right here is offering this video from Surprise. I wonder how it is. More weather video here. Looks like very windy conditions in Surprise. This one was submitted to our Facebook page just about 12 minutes ago. Happy Valley, lots of clouds in the sky. Different photos being submitted from Brett in Happy Valley and the storm out there. Brent saying storm rolling in through the West Valley. Sean Funk submitting this photo from North Scottsdale. Tony saying this storm 3:30 p.m. August 27th. West of Buckeye, it looks like this, according to Roy. And April saying dust storm and thunderstorm headed towards Goodyear at the exact same time. All right, guys, now we are going to take you to another shot. This is a very cool shot from the road. We have a camera inside our news vehicles. This is a moving shot. These are live images right now. Our moving shot on the road. It looks very cool. It looks like our news truck is just about to get on Interstate 17 North. That's what it looks like. It looks like it's heading on the 10 West, and now it is hopping on the 17 North. Sometimes this is really fun. I kind of love tagging along when with these sorts of shots because it just feels like you're in the car with them. Again, guys, we are looking at live images of our photographer driving on Interstate 17 North in one of our news vehicles. We have a camera mounted there, so you guys are getting these live images in now. You can see what it looks like outside. You can see the clouds in the sky. And as you know, the photographer headed on Interstate 17 North. My guess is he would be headed towards Glendale. Uh-oh, it looks like cars are braking. Looks like there's traffic. And yeah, you guys can see firsthand just what the clouds look like. All right, guys, so I'm going to be alternating shots here because I have various shots of the weather right now. We are looking at a ground view from Interstate 17 heading north. Our photographer just got on Interstate 17 a couple minutes ago from Interstate 10, just so you have a rough idea of where in Phoenix he is driving. In the meantime, we have Skyfox also in the air. These are live images from Skyfox. Skyfox's camera is pointed towards the northwestern part of the valley. I know some of our viewers in the chat room saying that there are some heavy winds in the Glendale area, so that would make sense looking at some of the activity in the northwest part of the valley. And then we also have this shot, which is the view from our tower cam mounted on South Mountain. So lots of different views of the weather, and we're going to continue to bring you extensive weather coverage here. And Dave Muncy should be joining me shortly. We shall see. In the meantime, I'm sure he's working on some of these maps. That's a look at our radar But I'm sure I'll show you this again once Dave Muncie joins me. So instead, I will show you some more of the aerial and ground shots we're getting in live. All right, guys, let's go back to that ground shot from Interstate 17. Heading north from downtown Phoenix towards Glendale. All right, guys, I have figured out a solution so that you guys can watch both the Skyfox shot and the ground shot. We'll just use our picture-in-picture in the upper right-hand corner. You have the view from Interstate 17, the moving view of the clouds, and in the larger picture, you have the view from Skyfox. All right, joining me now is Dave Muncy. Dave, you are high in demand in this newsroom.
Well, there's a lot going on with our weather right now, with a storm system pushing in. We've got, as you can see, a pretty good cell right there. I don't know which way that is pointing right now because we have cells to the northwest of us.
I believe that's pointing towards the northwest. That's what I was
Yeah,
told.
and that would be up by
Skyfox.
Surprise. That's where one of the cells is right now. We also have some pretty good cells off to the east of us at this time. So we're seeing quite a bit of very active weather once again this evening. Got a little break last night, but things are picking up. In fact, within about the last half hour, 45 minutes, this stuff has really started to blossom and develop. I don't see any dust with this. I haven't seen any reports of dust or any dust signs coming
Not from
in.
that area.
No, not from that area, and I'm not seeing anything from the east at this point in time either.
Well, I saw some users submitted video of dust.
There's a little. That's a little dust devil right
Yeah,
there, is what
nothing
we're
too
seeing.
much,
Yeah,
nothing
it's not like a
crazy.
dust storm sweeping across the valley. You're going to see a dust devil or something like that occasionally when you get a storm moving in. Where is this? Lake Pleasant.
Yeah, we can show the viewers.
Happy Valley
that.
coming down pretty good. So, yeah, some of the surrounding areas, some pretty good storms starting to pick up. What else do you have my radar somewhere? We could take a look at
We
that.
can take that right now. Boom.
Yeah. And let me see what I can do. I can work that a little bit, and you can kind of see. You get in, I think that's the Surprise area right there, yeah. And Luke Air Force Base is out there as well. We'll get in a little bit closer. Sun City West, some of those, Youngtown, Peoria, all of those areas. At the present time, that storm system's really pushing into that area, and I think that's that cell we were looking at. Off to the west and the
Right
northwest
here.
of us, yeah.
That same cell.
There you go,
is
right
this.
there, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's a pretty big one right there. That's coming in, and that does have a warning with it until 4:45. And we also have on the east side, we're looking at a lot of very active weather as well. There are a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings on that side as well. Also, a couple of flood advisories for a lot of those areas that are getting some of the heavy activity at this time. But once again, you can see it is surrounding the city, starting to come into Black Canyon City, starting to come into the Deer Valley area, Sunny Slope. And we'll probably soon see something. You can see a little bit of moisture over Sky Harbor, but that's not necessarily rain.
Right.
That can be just the moisture in the air that we're seeing. Come in there. It'll be rain. It'll get to rain as it does in these storms, as it can do when the systems are pushing in.
So this is a look at the Northwest Valley. So you'd say this is in the Surprise area?
Well, if that's where we're looking, then that's a Surprise area. I'm not sure which way the camera is pointing.
Northwest.
At this point, we do know that.
Well,
yeah,
that's
so
what I was
that's
told.
okay. So that's where those storms are coming from. That
Was it
we
a
just saw
surprise
on radar.
storm?
What it was? At this time of year, there a lot of them are. You know.
I shouldn't laugh at my own silly joke.
And we can see some stuff. Well, I guess we're not on the radar anymore, but there's
We can go
some-
back to the radar.
Okay, there's some stuff up north as well, as you can see, kind of generating in this direction. And when we back off from it, give you a good look at it right there, and then once again zoom into that Surprise area, and that extending all the way from Surprise to Deer Valley into Glendale as well. Okay. All right. And what was that?
Oh, this what we're losing? I'll
Yeah.
show you guys the shot that we're about to lose. This is the ground shot on Interstate 17.
Well, you can see a little rain on the windshield
Yeah, this is previously when we were showing this shot, there was no rain on the windshield. So that's a development over the last 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes or so.
Mhm.
We did not have rain on the windshield before, so that's pretty cool. And then we have this cool looking view, a tower cam. Look how
Yeah,
eerie and
yeah, that's kind of
it is.
ominous looking, isn't it? Yeah, the tower cam.
Ominous. Yeah.
And that tower cam is probably looking up north or to the northwest. Once again, that's where the big storms are coming from tonight. We do have some weather down south But the big weather that we're seeing is on the east and to the north of us as I back off a little bit. You see a little bit of active weather coming out of the south, kind of the southwest right there,
Right.
coming toward Phoenix. But for the most part, it's out of the northwest and out of the west at this time. We do have some stuff on the east, but it's moving away. It is moving away at this time, so that helps with that. And once again, a little bit up north. And you can see the stuff on the west, the stuff in the northwest is the stuff that's threatening us at this time.
You know what's
A
amazing?
little bit of the south.
When I look at this, it's pretty much the rain covers all of Arizona up until the border, but then it doesn't drip into California as if there's like, no, you're going to stay in your drought. It's kind of interesting because I look at this and it's green all over Arizona, even in somewhere into Nevada and New Mexico. And there's maybe little drops in California.
There are some mountains there, so it kind of keeps. Those are the boundaries.
But
There
it's
are
interesting
boundaries.
that the clouds are choosing not to just cross over that border.
Yeah,
It passed
no,
Blythe,
it's
get to
there-
Palm Springs. They're like, no, we're going to continue to.
There's a
have
little
you
bit of
suffer.
mountains there that keep that from happening. So.
Oh, so that's what prevents it.
Yeah, it just can't
It's like
get
a
over.
barrier.
Yeah, can't get over. There's a little
Oh.
barrier right there, and that's what that is. That's a little range of
So we're
mountains.
showing them the Skyfox video again. That's the rain dropping
Yep.
right there.
And that's what's interesting when you see this and you're talking about Arizona weather. You can see here that look at that nice clear sky off to the right of that picture, and then the heavy rain on the left side of that picture. So that's kind of an interesting situation. That's a situation of some people getting the rain and other people's not getting anything.
Now,
and this is where
Tower Cam has moved, and now it's suddenly stuck in a cloud or something.
yeah, you can see that that's still looking. There's still the city in the background there. So that system is at this time moving in. So, yeah, that'll make a difference as well.
Wow.
I'm just looking to see.
Oh yeah, Rachel had a question. Mr. Muncie, do you think it will hit by Cardinal Stadium?
Well, it is coming from that west side, so I think that's certainly a possibility. I can't see my radar right now, but
I can show you the radar
yeah.
again. We can always go back to
We
the
can
radar.
get that, and then so you take a look down there and see where the stadium is. That would be a good. I would say.
Off 17.
Yeah, it's right up. It is right there by Surprise and Luke Air Force Base. So I would imagine some kind of rain, some kind of.
off 101
weather
rather.
is going to happen at the stadium or around the stadium. That's for sure. When you see how much we have impacted in that small little area already right there.
Wow.
So,
is
yeah.
right now the Surprise Sun City West area hit the hardest?
Yes, that's right now what I'm seeing is that's where some of the hardest is showing up on our radar anyway. That's what we're seeing as far as our radar picture is
I
concerned.
wonder if any of the viewers have submitted video or photos from Surprise or Sun City West in the last 30 minutes, because that's the last time I had checked for viewers submitted content.
Okay.
But
Well, we don't see anything yet. This was one. What was that?
hold on, let me pull this up for our viewers.
And that's just a cloud formation. That looks like it's rain on one side.
Right here, yeah.
I don't see anything with that other than a rain cloud, maybe some rain coming down.
North Peoria 15 minutes ago. Should we watch this?
Yeah, yep. That's probably going to have some pretty good rain coming down in it. Yeah, look at that with the wind. That's blowing pretty good out there.
Yeah. This video, North Peoria, about 20 minutes ago, courtesy of Corey Wenzel. Look at this.
No barbecue
I wonder
tonight.
if there's any audio that we can hear. Oh, there we go, the audio. Now it sounds like a storm. It didn't sound like a storm until we could hear that rain and the wind.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, I hear it. And where was this again?
This is North Peoria.
Peoria. Okay. Yeah, and that's right in that area that we were just showing.
Right, exactly. Wow. Pretty good viewer submitted video.
Yeah, and we appreciate these when you send these in. We appreciate getting
Yeah,
them
because we can't be everywhere.
Yeah, and
Look
it
at
really
that.
helps us to show your area, and that's what people want to show. They want to make sure that their area gets shown and that whatever is happening there is
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Whoa.
look at that. That's really something.
That's crazy. That's a surprise ending.
Yeah.
Of an inferior.
No fucking way.
Oops, there's some curse words in this video. You guys did not hear that. Oh well, we're all.
I guess not. We don't have time to filter everything when
We
it first
can't.
comes
Well,
in.
this
that's
is
for
our
sure.
first look. 'Cause
Yeah.
let's see. Rain coming down. Ashley Perry. Out in surprise 303 in how do you say that? Waddell or Waddell?
Waddell.
Our backyard. Okay. Oh, it's sideways video.
Oh, there you go.
So we're gonna
Is
have
that
to
the
turn
same
our head.
backyard, or is that a
No,
different
someone else's backyard. We're gonna have to look at it sideways.
Yeah.
Turn your head, guys.
That's it. I'm sure they just lay on the couch. You'll be able to see that, and that's surprise. Yep.
Surprise, yeah.
So that's we're not surprised to see that because that's
there we go.
We're seeing that on the radar. Once again, you can see they're just right in the middle of it as it comes rolling in.
Look at that. Pretty crazy. Let's see if anyone else has sent us video. Storm and surprise, wind, rail, and hail, courtesy of David. All right, this is not sideways. Wow.
And that's surprise again, yeah.
It is surprise.
And that's where the heaviest concentration is. That's where people are seeing this storm enter into our area is from the northwest and from a little bit from the west, but mostly the northwest.
Right.
We do have some stuff on the east, but like I say, that's moving away from us at this time. So
That's crazy.
that's not where the big threat is. Well, at this time of year, once again,
You don't think it's crazy. I think this is
anything
normal.
can happen. No, this is normal monsoon type weather. We build these storms up during the day, and when the heat gets heating comes up, any day can take off.
Oh. Pretty crazy though. And you still have to stay hydrated even if it's raining outside,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
Can you drink rainwater? Is that good for you? Is that okay for you?
I would imagine in some areas it's probably better than the groundwater.
So if I just put a cup out and
Remember
capture rain,
when they used to catch rainwater so they could wash their hair and everything like that? That's what women washed their hair in years ago, was the rainwater. They were so pure. But I think there's a lot of things that are in the air these days that probably come down with the rain.
So Roy has
You
sent
might
us
wanna
this
have
photo
that.
just now. Dust
And where is
storm.
this? Where is
Dust
this
storm
from?
on the farm
there
in
is a little.
Buckeye.
Oh, there is a little dust out there. This is the first dust that we've seen reported.
Jared saying, here comes the
from
storm,
this.
36th at Altadena.
Yeah. So where's that dust one again? Can you pop? Yeah, pop that one up.
Buckeye. It's right here.
And that's our first report, and that is the farm area out there, where there is that, the ground is looser, and when the winds blow, you get that dirt up into the air. And so it's not surprising to see that. I would imagine that with all the rain behind it, that's going to be pretty short-lived, however.
Let's keep a lot of viewers now submitting photos. That's 36th at Altadena. Right here, Matt Mueller saying the storm is rolling into the West Valley, Dysart and Thomas.
Yeah.
We already looked
saw
at that
that,
video.
yep.
Scroll down. Sun
We saw
City. We
that.
didn't see the Sun City video. This is new. Let's watch. Is this sideways video too? No, it's
Look
straight.
at this shit. I don't fucking believe it.
Oh,
And then you see the
gosh.
cactus. Look at the cactus in the background with
Wow.
all the blowing, that huge cactus back there.
When it's done, I'll be out there picking them up, so some bars
Wow.
gonna get some.
Thanks, John Rather, for this one from Sun City.
Blowing pretty good out there as well. And we have had reports. In Surprise, we had a report of a gust at 48 miles an hour. We also had a half an inch of rain in 12 minutes reported in Surprise as well. So there's a lot going on out there.
The wind, the rain.
Yeah.
Let's see. Thank you, John Rather, for that report. I like these viewer submitted videos that we're watching. Do you have to leave?
Well,
more rain and surprise.
Okay, let's take a look at
Oh
that.
God, I'm just keeping you to show you.
I just
video.
have to keep my eye because we're doing the update here at
They'll find you. Don't
2:28,
worry.
So
They're gonna find you. They won't let you stay
look
with
at
me
this
too
now.
long.
Yeah, this is coming down sideways. And that person, it looks like they just stopped and opened their car door.
Right.
to
Oh
get
man,
that.
this is a surprise. About 20 minutes ago.
And we don't. It is sideways rain. I don't see any hail. I was looking for maybe a little hail bouncing off of something, but those are just really big raindrops that we're seeing there.
Right. Pretty good video though,
Yeah,
courtesy of
yep.
Ismail Haro.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate getting this because it gives us an idea of what's going on. We can't have a crew everywhere.
Let's see. Alexis posts West Phoenix. Looks pretty nice in West Phoenix, relatively speaking. Just some palm trees and clouds. Heading home from work on Interstate 10 before 7th. Or first storm coming this way. Cactus Road and Cave Creek. Oh.
Oh, look at that. What is he doing? A little sidewalk surfing
My
there or
kid's having a
something?
blast and surprise.
There you go. That's coming down, that's for sure.
Ooh, some Superior
There is a
rain.
lot of lightning with this
Let's look at
storm.
the Superior.
So,
Oh my God, that was loud.
oh,
Loud
yeah.
rain.
And look at the standing water in that backyard, too. So really taking the hit there. Okay, and then I'm going to run now, and I'll go do this
You're
other
leaving
update.
me?
Yeah, I'll do this other update, and then we'll come
cool.
back, okay?
All right, well, you'll be hanging out with Kinsey after 4:30.
Okay.
All right, so
We'll
thanks
see
for
you then.
hanging.
See you, folks.
All right, guys, I'm going to continue to show you some of this viewer-submitted video in just a minute. But first, I'd like to show you what it looks like outside, courtesy of Skyfox. That is a Skyfox view of the storm currently. Let me see if I can find out where exactly it is pointed. All right, guys, in case you're wondering what Skyfox is looking at, Skyfox is looking due north of, basically North Phoenix and North Scottsdale is what you're looking at right now. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap things up and pass things off to Kinsey. Hope you have a wonderful evening. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon show as well as the evening Fox News Now show. See you soon.
Hi all, Kinsey here. We are looking at additional monsoon 2015 coverage. I see clouds, I see rain. This isn't my favorite shot though. Although this is Skyfox, let's take a look at Tower Cam here in a second. Tower Cam's got some beautiful clouds. Makes the city look stunning. But we'll go back over to Skyfox where there's movement. I recently saw a headline that said the monsoon is over, but I do not believe it. Look at, you can barely see through those clouds. A little bit of lightning there in the center of the screen, but I hate to do this. I have to shift screens again for 2 more seconds. Take a look at Tower Cam. Look at that beautiful blue sky, and again those center clouds. Look at the top. It looks like a stairway to heaven. So that's our Tower Cam view. Let's head back over to Skyfox. Got some Skyfox Frozen action. I even see people commenting on it in the chat room that it freezes every once in a while. I do apologize. Technical difficulties. I don't know if you've noticed this, but we definitely have more technical difficulties when there is weather. Any sort of activity in regards to weather, we have technical difficulties via satellite or via Skyfox. So I do apologize, but now you can see that movement. Let me remove that lower third temporarily so you can get a better idea of the valley and see more, but you can see how thick those clouds are, how thick that sky is. And just to give you another idea, let's head back over to Tower Cam again. I love the beautiful blue ceiling. You can see movement in the bushes in the lower right-hand side of the screen. So you can see that this is a live shot. We're right in the center there of that live shot. And then, hey, it looks like I'm actually getting some drive around footage. I believe this might be BK, one of our photographers. You hear that rain. Typically when we do this type of coverage, I have some of you telling me that you are sleeping or falling asleep when we have this type of coverage. But we are looking at rain throughout the valley right now. And keep in mind, this is a GoPro we have in, I believe, all of our news cars. This is not a reporter or a cameraman with their cellular telephone out. This is a GoPro that we have attached to all of our vehicles. Our photog is securely strapped in his seatbelt. Everything is legal. Another look at Tower Cam. Look at how beautiful that is. It's actually, I wonder if there's any way I could post. I want to show you both. I don't want to waste any beautiful shots, but look at how beautiful this is. Let's drop that lower third so you can take a look at this beautiful picture. Unbelievable sky. Kind of a haunting glow over the valley. This photo is not, whoa, this is our Skyfox photo. It's a little frozen. I won't even go there because it's frozen. And it's a waste to show you a frozen image when I have all of these beautiful live shots. Let's go back to this dash cam. Looks like we're stopping to get gas in Glendale, Arizona. But this is along the US 60. This is in Glendale. Let's go back to that tower cam while we stop to get gas. Beautiful skies, unbelievable. Enchanting, looks like a Disney movie. But for Phoenix, they're saying a 20% chance of showers and thunderstorms before 11 p.m. Partly cloudy with a low around 85. North-northwest wind 5 to 9 miles per hour, becoming east after midnight. Tomorrow, we're looking forward to sunny with a high near 108. And that is in Phoenix, Arizona. Currently heavy rain and thunder, 90 degrees outside. Humidity's at 44%. And I did just recently see a headline that said monsoon season was over. Nope, nice try. It was not our headline. I might skip back over, pull some of our highlights from some great weather we've been shooting throughout the valley. Rick Davis, who you sometimes hear from here on Fox 10 News Now, is one of our favorite, very talented photographers. And he's about to send us some cool shots he just took, so perhaps I'll dip in and out of those and give you a glimpse of some valley weather. In current conditions at Sky Harbor International Airport's 90 degrees, heavy rain and thunder. Humidity 44%. Look at how dark the sky is getting. Just if you have been watching over the last few minutes, you have seen it get progressively so much darker. Tonight we're looking at a 20%. They're calling it a slight chance of thunderstorms, then partly cloudy. That low is going to be 85. I will take 85 any day. Why don't we look at some of Dave Muncie's weather graphics for a second? You can see that weather rolling in throughout the state of Arizona. Let's head back over to Tower Cam. This might be an interesting video to do a time lapse on, just how beautiful and bright it was with those clouds earlier versus how dark it's getting right now. Currently 90 degrees at Phoenix Sky Harbor. And earlier today, as predicted, a slight risk of severe thunderstorms is forecast today and or tonight. Scattered thunderstorms, a few of which could produce hail. This is coming from Storm Prediction Center. Locally damaging winds and a couple of tornadoes will occur late this afternoon into tonight. Southern South Dakota, southward across the eastern half of Nebraska, into northern Kansas. So we are not the only ones having a unique day as far as weather is concerned. We are getting it pretty easy here in the valley. If you're in Glendale, Arizona, it's currently 97. Thunder, blowing dust, humidity 33%. Dave Muncie just passed me. He's probably like amateur hour and rolling his eyes. I'm kidding. But if you are in Glendale, Arizona, you are likely looking at thunder and blowing dust. Looks drastically brighter than it did a few minutes ago, thanks to our tower cam. Clouds moving, making way for sunshine. But even if you were to scroll back a few minutes, which you're capable of doing here on these live broadcasts, even if you scrolled back just a few minutes ago, that view was completely different. It was dark and haunting, and here we are. The sun is coming back out. Looks like we were just temporarily hit with some of this weather. Back to Dave Muncie's map where you can see the timestamp at the top in the center. And let's go back to Tower Cam where you can see it's getting brighter and brighter. And don't forget, we are gearing up for our 5 p.m. broadcast. Carrie Lake is unfortunately out of town, so that means you are going to get to enjoy the dynamic duo of John Hook and Troy Hayden. We are going to have all of our monsoon coverage for you there. We've got some really great live shots, or some shots from throughout the valley of some of the weather. We've got some interesting video from a bar fight that has got one local official in some trouble. It's actually on our Facebook. Oh, well, let's see if it's on our Facebook page right now. If it is, I have to show you this because it's interesting. I don't see it posted yet. But we have some security footage of, I believe it's a firefighter who got into a fight off duty, while off duty, and he's getting into a lot of trouble now. Currently looking at our television screen, I see locally we've got Fox 10 News happening right now. If you're local, you can turn on Channel 10. If you're not local, you can head on over to fox10phoenix.com and watch our live television broadcast happening on the web. It's Monsoon 2015 that I see flashed across the screen right now, our weather alert. Let's see if we can break into it for a few minutes. You know, I keep telling you if you go to foxtonphoenix.com, you can watch the live broadcast. I'm not even sure that I'm still telling you the truth. We have to figure this out, and we're doing it together. Well, I'm having a hard time finding it, but I do see this AccuWeather map. That's fun. That's a fun share. We'll do that. Oh, looks like we're back to our live shots of weather. Looks like things are slowing down in Glendale. It's 5 o'clock, which means we're going to go ahead and wrap up Fox 10 News now, the afternoon edition. I've got to gear up for the 6:30 edition. I've got Jude LaCava kicking off the show. Samia, did you play the Obama Mercury thing? Oh, and I will be playing that this evening. So we'll have Jude LaCava on later on this evening, and oh yeah. Everybody tweet Samia to have a good night. She's leaving. She has to go out in the weather.
Let's try not to periscope.
I tried to catch her as she left, but I didn't. But I'm going to go ahead and let you go and gear up for our 6:30 program. Jude LaCava is going to be on tonight. It's going to be fun. Hopefully we'll have some weather. Hopefully we'll have some fun visuals. And I greatly appreciate you spending your afternoon with us. Bye.